So here's our next problem. Solve 2 over x minus 2 plus 7 equals x over x minus 2. And now you'll see why I talked about division by 0 in the previous video. It's going to show up here ultimately. I kind of hate to give away the plot, but that's what's going to happen here. Alright, so looking at this, let's do the normal thing. Our common denominator would be x minus 2. So I'm going to multiply each part by x minus 2. Let me put these in parentheses. Okay, so this gets x minus 2, and x minus 2. And we see that these cancel off, leaving a 2, plus 7, parentheses x minus 2 equals 2. And over here, x minus 2 is canceled, leaving x. So we cleared the fractions. So far, everything looks fine to me. And let's see, we'll distribute the 7 through the parentheses. So we have 2 plus 7x minus 14 equals to x. Combine terms here, this gives us 7x minus 12 equals to x. And let's see, if I subtract 7x from both sides, that gives us a negative 12. X minus 7x is negative 6x. And then divide by negative 6. And we have x. Here the negatives cancel, so x equals to 12/6, which is 2. So x equals to 2. All right. Now I want to check that answer and see what happens. So when we go to check, we'll replace everything with 2. So now I'm going to the original problem. I've left this step in up here purposely, but I'm only looking at the blue here when it comes to checking, because you always check your answer in the original problem. That way, if you made a mistake in between, if you check your answer in another part of the problem, you may have made a mistake getting there. So you always check with the original problem. I replace x with 2, so it gives me 2 over 2 minus 2 plus 7 equals to 2 over 2 minus 2. So what do we have? We have 2 over 0 plus 7 equals to 2 over 0. And there we have division by 0 pop up, which is a problem because we can't assign a number to 2 over 0. So when that happens, about 99.99% of the time, you've got a bad answer. I'm sorry, you have a wrong solution. I suppose it's possible you could get this by some strange mistake of plugging numbers in, but almost always invariably, if you get 0 in your denominator, then the problem cannot be solved. Now how can I claim that? You know, this answer, which we apparently got by legitimate means, when you plug it in, it leads to an impossible calculation. Why would that mean no solution? Alright, so, well, I want to answer that question, but first of all, let's write the conclusion to this problem. There is no solution. Okay, so now if I hand you a problem and you write no solution, then I'm going to ask you, where does it work? Because if you're going to conclude no solution, I want to see that you've justified it. I want to see the steps that lead you to that. And I want to see division by 0 if there's no solution. So that's important. Notice the difference here. I didn't get the left side does not equal to the right side when I plug a number in. You know, if I plugged a number in, I didn't get something like 1 equals to 2, which is impossible. That would be a wrong solution. You only get a no solution if, when you do this method, if your answer you get when you plug it in, it leads to a division by 0. So division by 0, no solution to the problem. Alright, now I want to justify this a different way. But first of all, I think we should ask the question, if If I got x equals 2 as an answer, and it's bad, then where did I go wrong? Where's my mistake? I've asked this question for years, and I can't remember an algebra student ever pointing out where my mistake is. For one thing, they don't want to believe that I've made a mistake. You know, I'm supposed to be paid to do things right in class. But there is a mistake. Unfortunately, I've erased most of the problem, most of my work, but where's the mistake? See it? It's my first step. There's an inherent flaw in this way of solving rational equations. And there's nothing we can do about it. But if x equals to 2, think about what did I multiply everything by? If x is 2, then I multiplied this times 0, that times 0, and this times 0. Now, are you allowed to do that? Multiply an equation by 0? No, this is an exception to the rule. Let me give you a quick example of that. One plus 2 equals to 4, right? Everybody knows that. Well, if I took this, obviously bad equation, and multiplied each term by 0, then I would get 0 plus 0 equals to 0, which is obviously correct. So when you multiply an equation by 0, you run the risk of turning a false situation into a true situation. And that's exactly what happened here. So it turns out that's what we did. And but there's no way to avoid this. Normally there's no way to avoid it because this is the way we solve these equations. Now there is a way to avoid it on this particular problem. So I want to work this problem a little bit differently because we can. This method I'm going to use is not practical for most of these rational equations, but I wanted to show you a different perspective on this problem and also to further justify that there really is no solution to it. Alright, so anyway, but that's the inherent weakness in this is when we multiply everything, we run the risk of multiplying by effectively a 0 and creating a false situation. Alright, so I'm going to start with the original problem, and I can work it a different way this time. And I don't know if you spotted it. The problem has just two fractions in it, and each have the same denominator. So if I were to subtract this term from both sides, it comes over to the right side as a negative because I subtract that term. Then I have 7 on the left equals 2x over x minus 2 minus 2 over x minus 2. Now we have common denominators here, so we can combine these fractions. 7 equals 2. Common denominator is x minus 2. X minus 2. Well, here something very unusual happens. This equals to 1. In other words, the x's entirely cancel because x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 has to be 1. So in solving it this way, which is an unusual way of solving rational equations, I ended up where the x's entirely canceled off, leaving an impossible situation. Now, bear in mind, I didn't get this by checking the answer. I got this by solving the problem. So you need to understand all these differences. All right? But here, this shows that there's no answer to the problem. There's no solution possible because no matter what x is, we end up with something impossible like 7 equals to 1. Alright, so there you go. This is why you check your answers. Now, in a practical sense, at least make sure that the answers you're getting do not cause division by 0 when you plug them back in. Those would be no solution situations.